Thank you for being here. This has been an incredibly challenging time for my community, as it has been for all of us here today. I'm the state representative for West Bloomfield and for Temple Israel. This was an attack on my home in more ways than one. My parents were married at Temple Israel. I went to Hebrew school at Temple Israel. I was bar mitzvahed at Temple Israel. And one day, God willing, I hope to be married at Temple Israel. Temple Israel shaped me and made me the person I am today. It made me a humanist and someone who cares deeply about people who are different than me. It is the kind of place that cultivates proud Jewish leaders who feel called to repair the world. I didn't realize it until this week, but it's also a place I took for granted. It was just always there, ever present. But the prospect that it might not be has been more devastating than I can even express. The other place that made me who I am is West Bloomfield. I love West Bloomfield so much. It is not a place that gets a lot of notoriety, good, bad, or indifferent. And to know that most of the world first heard of my home this week because of the hate that someone tried to inflict on us is wrong. I want people to know West Bloomfield by the heroism of Temple Israel's security team, by our amazing police and fire departments, by the township leaders Jonathan Warshay, Terry Weingarten, and Debbie Binder, by the way that the Chaldean community sprung into action to defend us, from the way that we will lift each other up and heal together across communal lines. That is what defines West Bloomfield and makes it the amazing community that I love with all my heart and am so proud to be from and to represent. We are West Bloomfield strong. I was motivated to run for office primarily by two things: to give Greater West Bloomfield a stronger voice in the state capitol and to take on hate crimes. In my first term, I sponsored the Michigan Hate Crime Act and the Institutional Desecration Act. Because of these landmark laws, Michigan now has among the most stringent and toughest penalties for hate crimes against people and against houses of worship of any state in the nation. As proud as I am of these laws, clearly they are not enough to prevent anti-Semitic terror from reaching the very community I promised to protect. Prevention begins by better understanding the problem we face. Over the past decade and a half, American Jews have been told not to believe our eyes or our ears, as individuals and movements hostile to our very existence have grown in stature, support, and power. All while Jews and Jewish institutions have been jeered and stalked and threatened and vandalized and graffitied and beaten and shot and burned and killed. This is a wake-up call. In the Middle Ages, anti-Semitism attacked Jews as Christ killers. In the 20th century, it attacked Jews as racial pollutants on society. Today, it attacks Jews as an illegitimate sovereign nation, as in the State of Israel. Anti-Semitism operates differently than other prejudices. It is a flexible conspiracy theory that sees the Jews as behind any geopolitical conflict, economic justice, societal ill, or cultural rot, dealer's choice. The most common anti-Semitic conspiracy theory today is that Israeli interests control the United States government through the Jewish diaspora, American synagogues, organizations like HIAS, and political outfits like AIPAC. This matters because the attack on our beloved Temple Israel should not be understood as an attempt to, quote, prevent Jews from worshiping in peace, but as someone attacking Temple Israel because we are a proudly Zionist congregation and support the State of Israel. When you attack a Jewish synagogue because you oppose Israel's military actions, that's anti-Semitism. When you vandalize a Jewish-owned business because you oppose Israel's leaders, that's anti-Semitism. When you hound and harass Jewish elected officials because they refuse to disavow their support for Israel as the nation-state of the Jewish people, that's anti-Semitism. To be clear, no one is saying that it's anti-Semitic to criticize Israel. There are many sane and rational ways that one can engage in critical conversations and debate about Israeli policies, politicians, or even the nature of American foreign policy toward Israel, as there is about any country, without invoking conspiracies that endanger Jews. But too many influential voices are actively choosing to speak recklessly and to whip up hate against the Jewish community. From Hassan Piker to Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, they are radicalizing far too many people, especially young people. Like many Americans, I believe Vladimir Putin's Russia to be a criminal terrorist state. But when was the last time someone bombed a Russian Orthodox church, vandalized a Russian cultural center, or beat up a Russian restaurant owner because they oppose Putin's illegal war in Ukraine? Never. It doesn't happen. So why is it regularly happening to Jews all across America? All Jews, no matter what we think about Israel, its leaders, and its policies, are deserving of equal treatment under the law and equal treatment in civic, economic, social, cultural, and academic spaces. Anything else is pure, vile, dangerous anti-Semitism. The relationship between hate speech and hate violence is cause and effect. The more anti-Jewish hate speech and anti-Zionist conspiracies are normalized and mainstreamed, the easier it becomes for more people to view all Jews collectively as legitimate targets for violence. That means condemning and marginalizing anti-Semitic rhetoric literally acts to counter violence. Conversely, when people are silent or permissive in response to anti-Semitism, or worse, actually feed these conspiracies, they are complicit in establishing a permission structure for further violence against Jews. That means members of the public and political leaders alike have a crucial responsibility to dial down the rhetoric, to take their rhetoric out of the space of conspiracy and into the space of legitimate political debate. For example, saying, "I vehemently oppose the policies the AIPAC pushes and believe it has too much influence in Congress," has a profoundly different tone and impact than "Zionists control the entire United States government and we must quash their influence." One is a subject for debate. The other engages in wholesale conspiracy that endangers Jews. The crisis of anti-Semitism and anti-Jewish violence we face did not arrive overnight. It arrived through the passivity and silence of far too many individuals and institutions who would never accept this type of hatred and violence targeting their own community. But we are not doomed to failure. There are tangible steps that we can take here in Michigan to arrest this crisis and to prevent the radicalization that far too often leads to violence. What we can do is train parents, teachers, coaches, and peers to recognize the signs of radicalization and intervene before it becomes violence. What we can do is fund programs that deter hate and targeted violence in the first place. That's why I have partnered with PERIL, the Polarization, Extremism, Research, and Innovation Laboratory at American University, to bring data-driven, research-based toolkits, trainings, and curricula on preventing hate, targeted violence, radicalization, and misinformation by using a public health approach. PERIL's prevention resources are available for free to the public, and I would like to see every school district in Michigan implement their award-winning K-5 digital literacy curriculum that equips our youngest students with the skills to be resilient against propaganda and misinformation. I'm also working on legislation to create an Office of Hate Crime and Extremist Violence Prevention within the executive branch of the Michigan government, similar to those that exist in other states, to bring together public and mental health professionals, law enforcement, faith leaders, education, sports, academia, technology, and social media leaders, and establish a statewide strategy for preventing hate crimes and extremist violence here in Michigan. Rooting out anti-Semitism, hate, and extremism from our society and addressing radicalization requires not just a whole of government effort, but a whole of society effort too. It is incumbent upon each of us, individually and collectively, to cultivate spaces among our families, our friends, our colleagues, where anti-Semitism and hate have no purchase. We cannot and must not fail. On behalf of the people of West Bloomfield, that is what I will continue to do, and that is what I know all of us up here will continue to do, and we invite the rest of the public and our colleagues in government to do as well. Thank you, and I will now turn it over to